welcome back to the Gemara in Bava Kamma, Daf Pei Vav Amud Aleph. The Gemara begins with a quote from the Mishnah, Boshet hakol lefi hamivayesh v'hamitbayesh. This was the closest the Mishnah came to describing how the Boshet payment would work. Everything is according to the one who embarrassed, or the one who humiliated, and the one who was humiliated. Mani matnitin. The Gemara asks, whose opinion does our Mishnah follow? Which Tana's opinion is reflected? Lo Rabbi Meir, v'lo Rabbi Yehuda, ela Rabbi Shimon hi. It's not Rabbi Meir, it's not Rabbi Yehuda, it must be Rabbi Shimon. That's the Gemara's answer. Titnan, as we learned in a Mishnah, although actually if you used a regular Shas here, you would see that the Masoret HaShas corrects this to Titania. We learned in a Braita there is actually no Mishnah that has these words. V'chulan ro'inotan ki iluhem b'nei chorin she'arju menichsehem, shehen b'nei Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov. Divrei Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says that in the case of Boshet, we view all people, rich, poor, it doesn't matter. We view them all as though they were free people, sort of upper class people who lost all their wealth, because they are the children of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They are the descendants of patriarchs, and so we treat them all equally. We treat them all as though they had been wealthy and lost their assets. That's Rabbi Meir's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Hagadol lefi godlo, v'hakatan lefi kodno. And Rabbi Yehuda says we treat a sort of the wealthy person according to their wealth. We pay them according to their wealth, and a lower ranking person is treated according to their lesser rank. So we go by the victim. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Ashirim ro'inotan ki ilohem b'nei chorin she'arju menichsehem, aniim kepchutin shebehem. Rabbi Shimon says that we view rich people as though they are these aristocrats, these free people who lost all their assets, like Rabbi Meir's opinion at the beginning. And we view poor people as sort of the lowliest of the low. So we bring the payment down for everybody. We sort of bring everybody down a notch. I'm going to say that this is, so it's Tanaitic, and it's also a support for the answer. Mani or Mani Hasha, we usually skip parentheses. So who is the Tana of our Mishnah? Let's revisit this question. I Rabbi Meir, Manitzin Katani hakol lefi hamivayesh v'hamitbayesh. Rabbi Meir, kulhu bahari hadadi minhu. If you wanted to say that our Mishnah went according to Rabbi Meir, that's not going to work because our Mishnah said that everything goes according to the embarrasser and the person who was humiliated. And Rabbi Meir, all of them are brought together. In other words, Rabbi Meir doesn't really have a strong distinction between different financial classes. We don't consider their different financial positions in life. So I'm going to say this is an answer to the question. This is revisiting the question. V'i Rabbi Yehuda, and if you wanted to say that it was Rabbi Yehuda, Ma'nitin Ketani Hamivayeshet Hasuma Chayav. If you want to say it was Rabbi Yehuda, our Mishnah teaches that one who embarrasses a blind person is chayav, is obligated in the payment. Now, this is not included in the Mishnah that we read, and to figure this out, you would have had to turn the page. The Gemara assumes that the Mishnah, which is in the Gemara, separated by being on the next page, by being a few pages later from the earlier Mishnah, but the Gemara assumes that it's all one Mishnah. So if you were to flip to Pei Vav Amud Bet, you would see that there's actually a Mishnah there that's, again, it's the continuation of our Mishnah that we've been dealing with. We will get to it very soon. And that Mishnah does, in fact, say, Hamivayeshet Hasuma Chayav. Someone who embarrasses, who humiliates someone who's blind is Chayav. So if you wanted to say that Rabbi Yehuda's position was the one reflected in our Mishnah, you'd have to deal with this statement. V'ilo Rabbi Yehuda Omer Suma ein lo boshet. Rabbi Yehuda said elsewhere that literally a blind person has no liability for boshet payments. So it doesn't seem to match Rabbi Yehuda, not in terms of the hakol lefi hamivayesh v'hamitbayesh piece, but it doesn't match Rabbi Yehuda in terms of the summa piece. Elalav Rabbi Shimon he. Nope, so it must be that this is Rabbi Shimon. And if I were going to further subdivide my structure chart, I would say these are maybe, I have these as answers, they're sort of their possibilities or their explanations of rejected answers, and this one really is the answer. This is the Gemara saying, no, really, our Mishnah best matches, of all the positions in the Breita, our position best matches with Rabbi Shimon. That's the best match for the position in our Mishnah, because Rabbi Shimon does differentiate between those who have more money and those who have less money in the Mivayesh and the Mitbayesh. And so even though he doesn't necessarily, it's not clear how he takes into account the humiliator, but he sort of deflated both payments, so maybe he's at least taking into account the fact that the Mivayesh, the embarrasser, needs to pay, and we don't want that person to have to pay too much. Afilu tima Rabbi Yehuda. Then the Gemara says, no, maybe you could even say that our Mishnah matches with Rabbi Yehuda. Maybe there's a way to be more inclusive and say that our Mishnah matches Rabbi Yehuda. I'm going to put that in as a challenge. Ki amar Rabbi Yehuda, summa ein lo boshet, lemishkal mineh. When Rabbi Yehuda said summa ein lo boshet, that a summa literally has no boshet, a blind person has no boshet, that meant taking from the person. In other words, summa ein lo boshet means that if a blind person embarrasses someone else, they don't have to pay. Aval lemetvale yahavinan le. But to give to that person, sure, you can give to that person. So I'm going to put this also as part of the objection, or maybe it's the explanation. I'll put it as the explanation for the objection. In other words, Rabbi Yehuda really does match our Mishnah, because our Mishnah is saying, meaning this later part of our Mishnah that we haven't seen yet, our Mishnah is really saying that if you embarrass a blind person, you have to pay them. And Rabbi Yehuda would agree with that. He just felt that if a blind person embarrasses someone else, they don't have to pay. L'meitzvah again means to give to them, we do give to them. The Hamidikatani Seifa. But from what it says in the Seifa, or since the end of the Mishnah states, it's going to be again the end of this second Mishnah that we haven't really seen yet. Himavayeshet hayashen chayav, v'yashen shebiyesh patur. So this Mishnah says, and I'm putting it in red since it's Tanaitic. This Mishnah says, if you embarrass someone who is sleeping, you are chayav. And if someone who's sleeping humiliates someone else, they are patur. In other words, the end of the Mishnah is careful to state both cases, both a sleeping person who gets humiliated and a sleeping person who does the humiliated. V'lo katani, summa shebiyesh patur. And the Mishnah does not say that a blind person who humiliates someone is exempt. Michlal delo shna hachi v'lo shna hachi. So we can learn from this that literally it makes no difference this way, it makes no difference that way. In other words, the fact that the Mishnah that we're going to read only talks about a blind person, hamivayeshet hasuma chayav, we assume that means summa shebiyesh chayav also. Otherwise, the Mishnah would have stated otherwise. And that means that our Mishnah seems to think that even a blind person who causes embarrassment has to pay, just as someone who causes embarrassment to a blind person has to pay. And that would go against Rabbi Yehuda. That's the opposite of what Rabbi Yehuda said. So I'm going to say all of this is really the answer. Maybe really what I should do. I'll say all of this is the answer, is the response to that challenge, to saying that maybe our Mishnah could match Rabbi Yehuda. And I'll just highlight this in red to show that it's from the Mishnah. Allah machvarta matnitin Rabbi Shimon. Rather, clearly our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Shimon. Clearly that's the opinion that matches best with our Mishnah. So I could put this as an answer, Or maybe I have a color on my structure chart for conclusion, and then this would be the conclusion, the concluding statement. Okay, we'll stop here.